morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Myra and welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are you? I hope you're doing great, and if you're not, if you are having any problems, I know you'll get through it. If you have any doubts or any issues, I know you will push through. I know you can do it. And yeah, I just want to say that you're awesome. So, with that random supporting message in mind, if you haven't, I highly suggest for you to click that bell button besides my subscribe button so you'll be notified if I upload something new, because I upload quite sporadically. So if you like what you see, you would want to be notified if I upload anything new. So do that. Again, like my many movie reviews recently, this movie came out quite a long time ago, and it is based on a game that I very much enjoy when I was little. Well, not little, but kind of younger than now. I remember playing it in an arcade and also with console, although I cannot seem to remember which console that I used to play this game. However, the movie Rampage is very different than the actual original game. Will that difference became a disappointment? I'll talk to you about it after a short synopsis. Thanks to a vile pathogen that came from outer space, 3 animals that got infected suddenly grow in a very fast speed and experiencing some anger issues as well. One of the animals are George, an albino gorilla living under the care of our main character, Davis Okoye. Once Davis realized that his best friend was infected, he tried to figure out how to save George and stumbled upon an ex-scientist from the lab that created the pathogen, Dr. Kate Caldwell. Together, they went on a journey that ultimately will lead them to Energyne, the company responsible for the said pathogen. They will race against the animals and at the same time figuring out how to save them without actually killing them, while Energyne will use the at-large animal for their own agenda. Once everything comes together, the question remains: will everyone survive, or the animals will go on an endless rampage? First reaction, didn't think that there will be an outer space scene. We do not really see that in the actual game, but at least it gives a very nice introduction of the pathogen origin. The villains were also introduced very early, and they are pretty predictable. One superior and the other inferior. What I didn't expect is for George to have his own personality. He was a pain in the butt for Davis, but the fact that he can joke around makes the story really refreshing, even though we lost him for a bit when he transitioned from the regular gorilla to a monster-like gorilla. But as I talk about George here, can I mention how different the monster were from the actual game and how it kind of annoys me? I mean, when it comes to George, the difference is staggering, because the original game, George has a brown coat, while in this one, he is an albino. But I didn't mind it that much because the story kind of explains why George is an albino and why that is important. It gives George a richer background story. But when it comes to the rest of the animals, the way they make them is just horrible. My favorite character from the game is Ralph, mostly because he resembles a wolf, and somehow when I was younger I thought it was really cool. But in here, the Ralph we see is not only different in color like George, but he is also different in physical appearance. At first, it was only told that the animals doubled in size in a short amount of time, and then they just simply grow to a monster-sized animals that we all know. But the mutation grew to other defense mechanism and appearance, apparently. And with Ralph, he can shoot needles, much like a porcupine. That didn't bother me much, even though it does cause me to make a face. But then he flies. He freaking flies. And that's when I lose it and decide that I just hate Ralph and Lizzie also here very much. I mean, I cannot even recognize the crocodile because he has so many teeth in her mouth. I haven't even seen a dinosaur with so many teeth. Teeth, whatever. But anyway, setting aside the differences about the monsters, the storyline is different as well. In the game, the monsters were people, and because these people consume something, they became the large animal that would wreck city after city unless they are apprehended. But in here, the monsters are actually animals infected by pathogen, and they wreck stuff not because they wanted to, but because they do not have any choice. If I was a hardcore gamer and really loved the actual game, I might complain with these changes because it's always has been human became the monsters, became the animal monsters. It's just how the Rampage games goes, from the older version to the newest version. But even though they opted with another origin story, I'd say they did a pretty good job. Other than being predictable and focusing on the action and slight comedy, I can't really say much about the storyline. However, I did realize that they are trying to put some of the game mechanics in the visuals of the movie. One that I noticed is when Claire Wyden, the villain of the movie, suddenly wore a red dress. It was worth notifying because before, I didn't think she wore anything that flashy. That's when I remember how George would eat a lady with a red dress in the game and gets bonus points, and that is what George the albino gorilla did directly afterwards. He ate the lady in red. Then there's the scene where the monsters punching buildings from the side. It's how the game works, and the movie pictured that perfectly. As for the characters, I think the one that I love the most is George. He's hilarious and caring, and I think is the main character of the movie instead of Dwayne Johnson. Not that I think Dwayne Johnson did a bad job. He always did his role perfectly. I am, however, not thoroughly impressed with the villains. I thought all of them, as I said, was pretty predictable. Basically, character-wise, I cannot really say much because almost everything seems bland to me. But should you watch this movie, if you are looking for an action flick just to spend some time, then sure. It's full of fights, short talking scenes, and great visuals when it comes to the shootings and the gruesome part. But as usual, a movie that focuses on action tends to overlook the characters and the storyline, which is exactly what happened in this movie for me. But all in all, it's really worth your time to watch it at least once. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you like this movie review, and if you do, please comment, like, and subscribe. And if you don't do the same, I would love to know what I did wrong, and I would love to make it up to you, like, if I could. And don't forget to follow my Facebook and Instagram, they are in my description below. And thank you again so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!